Sticky diesel seems to be a prevailing problem that's coming up in the boat world, and something that I've been looking at trying to tackle from various different points of view. These are a set of injectors from a very modern canal line engine built around the Coyote, and basically the nozzles were stuck on some of these and wouldn't actually deliver fuel at all. Same as the injection pump module, which is being sorted out. That was seized. It overloaded my testing rig, and I had to unwind it and let them off. And these are the old nozzles, and they have, I'm going to zoom in slightly, there we go. So basically inside here, this little rod will act on that tiny little pin at the end. You can just see that, called a pintle, and it should just glide in and out of there, and it won't move at all. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone to film, because sometimes I use my phone. But basically, I have an idea. I have a vice. Let's use that. Just put that in there. I'm replacing these, so don't panic, in case any of you are looking in horror, because yes, that would definitely destroy them. So basically, the body's being held, and that little needle in there, even if I got a pair of pliers and graunched on it a bit and gave it some oomph, I haven't been able to get those out. It will not come out for love nor money. Whereas, say, a new one, which is one here, these just come out on their own. See, just such a close tolerance, they just glide. So what happens is when you run the engine, the injection pump will deliver high pressure fuel into this end here and bring it down into the body. This spring here, there's a shim and a guide, and that's your main body, your top nut for the spill rail. So the pressure will overcome this pintle at the bottom, and it will push up a little bit on the spring and spray a bit of fuel, and that's normal. So what's happening with this sticky diesel, which I don't know the main cause of it yet, but I suspect it's a biomass problem. I'm looking into it because it's becoming quite a big problem for a lot of boats. What happens is when the engine's running, it's fine, but you get some of this matter, and it cools and it turns to a glue, and it's so tough that basically your nozzle won't open, the engine won't run. Or one opens, or in this case two of these open, and as it starts to run, you start getting heat generated, and then it starts to soften a little bit, and then it starts to run fine, and you think, okay, it's just a bit of air, grey smoke clears up, and then it starts behaving normally. However, that's not the case. It's done damage. Those nozzles are solid. I'm not going to risk it. What's the solution? Well, unfortunately, I don't know. Not sure what dissolves sticky diesel. It's basically, I think, a kind of a brown liquid that resides in the bottom of diesel. So if you take a filter off and you see a dark brown liquid, that stuff, when it dries out, goes sticky and hard. It's a strange compound. I don't have a chemical analysis of it because I don't, I'm afraid. I'm going to write up a little basically, or some advice based on what I'm finding, but I'm going to try and speak to other people in the trade and see what information they have and what experience. I suspect the quality of diesel has changed over the last few years, and something is being added to it. Now, I know there's 7% biomass added to diesel, has been for a long time, but something is coming up here. Something is just causing problems, because this is a new problem. I don't believe sticky diesel has been a problem for a very long time, and most diesel injection specialists I speak to have never heard of that. So something new is going on here, and it's a concern because it's expensive to service this stuff. The injection pump module for this engine to get that service was about 800 quid. You know, it's not cheap. It's very, very, very expensive. And for something that's not even 5 years old, as far as I know, this should not be a problem. So yeah, I'm going to look into this and come back to this. We'll call this a part one short snippet. I want to get this information out to people and make people aware that when you're buying fuel, we need to start looking at what's going on with this fuel, what quality it is, where it's coming from, and keep a receipt, because this has got to stop. We've got to prevent this from getting any further. And it seems to only be a boating issue. I don't know about agricultural use of red diesel, because I don't really do a lot of work with farmers at all, actually. Maybe the farming community can have a point of view on this. Now, there are alternatives to diesel now. There's a product called HVO, and if you're not aware of that, that's hydrolyzed vegetable oil, which is the latest edition of biofuel. And it is made from various oils, vegetable oils, and then they treat it in a very, very high-tech way. Take out a thing called FAME, which is basically an acronym for various acids and other such nasty stuff which attack certain parts of the fuel. It's supposed to burn a lot hotter, a lot cleaner. You get almost no rubbish out the exhaust. they claim it's a straight swap in terms of its like BS standard number. I'm not sure how they run it, but I think it's a BS number. But basically, it's a direct swap over for diesel. It behaves exactly the same way. This lubricity, its behaviour is completely the same. Now, I know people are using HVO in smaller canal boats. There's loads and loads of data on HVO for big plant, big equipment, big boats that are running at much higher RPMs. Little narrow boats are running at maybe 1500, half of what big powerful boats are running at. But I do know there's a boat club that's using it in their Isuzu. I know other people have been using it in some of their listers. I don't know if HVO is okay in a BMC or a Perkins with a DPA pump because they have soft rubber seals. This Coyote, this canal line engine, there's no rubber seals in the ejection system. All it is metallic parts. Is that an alternative fuel? Probably, hopefully. It's expensive. It's not widely available, but there are people that have been looking to potentially push that towards that. I will get more information. I'm going to come back to this because I like to solve problems, not just not deal with them, and then hopefully we can move forward. In the meantime, I've got some work to do. I need to clean these bits up and get these injectors back together. Sticky fuel. Who'd have thought it? Thanks for watching.
Hi. So following on from what I said a moment ago, basically this sticky fuel has been an issue for a while actually, and I've just done a bit of reading, and it looks to be that what people are thinking is that because we've entered into an age where all the clean kind of emissions rules have changed the quality of fuel, what's in it, what can be burnt, and that sort of stuff. We're in a different era of fuel. It doesn't last as long. This is diesel, red diesel, and we're adding biomass, and these biomasses are basically potentially the additional problem, and it's like a 7% ratio. I think that's the maximum that's allowed to be put in it. And what you end up getting in this biomass effectively is fame. Now, there's going to be people that are far more educated on diesel quality, because I'm not a diesel engineer, so to speak, but nonetheless I handle diesel every day, so it's good to know this sort of stuff. So I'm just going to pinch a bit of information from Crown's website. Don't get me in trouble, but hey, just a quote from there. So Crown Oil sell diesel and stuff. How is FAME diesel created? FAME, fatty acid methyl ester, is a generic chemical term for biodiesel derived from renewable sources. It is used to extend or replace mineral diesel and gas oil used to fuel on and off road vehicles and static engines, boats too we might add. Current pump diesels can contain up to 7% FAME. However, higher levels of FAME content, even up to 100% FAME, B100, is not uncommon. It's created during the transesterification. Crikey, that's a word I can't pronounce. Let's give that one a try. Transesterification. Crikey, I didn't go to Oxford, as you can probably guess. Of vegetable oils and animal fat to make biodiesel. These high molecular weight oils and fats react with short-chain alcohol in the presence of a catalyst, usually potassium hydroxide, to produce lower molecular weight esters, FAME. And there's a diagram here, and I'm not a chemist, so I'm not going to try and explain it to you, but there's lots of H2, I guess that's hydrogens and carbons and oxygens and other things in there. Basically, here's that word again. So what is transesterification? I keep saying that word. It involves splitting the three alloxy groups from the glyceride backbone of the triglyceride, which is oil or fat. So basically, I remember many years ago my mentor was looking at converting a generator set to run on vegetable oils. This is crikey, what, 25 years ago? Back when green biodiesels were first coming in as an alternative to diesel, and this whole green revolution was kicking off. And basically people were going to chip shops and places like that and just getting all their old vegetable because it cost them a fortune to get rid of it. And then there was an issue, I believe, where supermarkets, people were going in and just buying vegetable oil cheaply and sticking it straight in their diesel engines. And these are older machines. This is way before computer-controlled diesel and injection systems. And the market suddenly realised what was going on and started charging an absolute fortune for vegetable oil. The problem with vegetable oils is once it cools, you get glycerides, fats basically, and they congeal and go very hard, and what we were finding is that, yeah, an old diesel will burn vegetable oil, no problem, when it's warm and it's of a certain viscosity. So you have to control the temperature range. It was a very complicated process back in the day. But you've got, once you start using it for cooking and you're reusing it, you've got all these fatty acids sitting in there, and they're kind of suspended. But once the temperature, the ambient temperature drops, I was actually in the van with my mentor years ago, and we broke down because his fuel tank froze. I didn't realise he was using vegetable oil. It froze and just turned hard, and it wouldn't flow, so we couldn't run. He spent a few hours under that, warming that up in various fashions. So basically, what does this mean? We're a few years ahead of that story and a few years ahead of this. So when they're producing fuels, we're trying to obviously move away a little bit from fossil fuels, and we're adding different chemicals into fuel to do different things and try and find alternatives to things that were keeping it fresh. Now, I do believe that when we had lockdown, a lot of diesel in offshore ships and stuff went off. It would just have to be thrown away or reused in some other fashion because it was no longer suitable for machinery, basically. In case you don't know, diesel does 3 jobs typically in a machine. It's obviously it's a fuel, and that will make the machine run. It will also lubricate those parts. A lot of modern diesel systems use diesel oil as a lubricant because you don't put engine oil in there. Some of the really old-fashioned diesel injection pumps do use engine oil in certain parts, but typically the fuel will also act as a lubricant. And secondly, it's actually a cooling agent. So what the fuel that goes through the circulation of the normal circulation of the fuel will run through the injector nozzles and back out and take some of that heat away from the combustion process to protect the diesel system. So obviously, if you're getting all these fatty acids building up, then you're getting problems. Now, to be a bit more specific with this, it's not that you're getting fats coming out of the diesel we're buying now, it's that they are producing a new kind of reaction in the fuel. I guess all these chemists and people that are making these stuff up are trying to find new alternatives and putting it into market to see what happens. But this sticky fuel's become a real problem, and it's really becoming a problem, and I'm seeing a lot of it. Now, I know that RCR have had a lot of these cases, and they're actually running a bit of a thing trying to get as much information because this is a nationwide problem, and something needs to be done because it's all very well big companies having insurance and getting that covered if there's breakdowns, but most of my customers are people like you who live on their boats, and this is a domestic problem as well. And getting £1,000 plus bill every time your injection system gets sticky because the fuel's no good, that's not okay. As I say, I'm literally in the middle of fixing this canal line engine, and there's no way that should have happened to the engine this young. I mean, if it had normal everyday diesel that we would have took for granted, this wouldn't be a problem. But when I took the injection block into the injection specialist, it was solid mass. It wouldn't move, it was solid, but he's managed to fix it, which is really handy. Otherwise I've been a new pump. And I've serviced the diesel injectors, and again, the nozzles, as I've shown you, they were solid. So what's the solution? Well, it's hard to kind of say what the solution is. I think the only option I can think of immediately is to really look at what fuel you're buying and where it's coming from. And that's not going to give you an answer because there are big companies that supply this stuff, but you as a, dare I say, consumer, and I hate that term consumer. I'm not a consumer, I'm a human being, but that's another tangent for conversation. Basically, you need to start asking the coal boats or the fuel boats you're getting the fuel from, or the mariners, where you're getting the fuel from, and start coming at this from every angle we can, because you're relying on this stuff. A lot of you are using diesel heaters. You can keep you warm in places that you can't have a burner, wood stove, I should say, or coal stove. Also, you need your engine for running for power and mobility, and you need that system to be reliable. And then suddenly having a breakdown because the fuel you're being sold is not good, it is not okay. So, I keep my receipts. We have to because we're a limited company, and my wife does the bookkeeping on that. And so, keep your receipt. Keep it, and that's going to be the first normal port of call, because as a consumer you have consumer rights. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's going to protect you completely, but if this stuff is causing you problems, you're going to have to call someone like me out. And I know that that bill can be a lot, especially in the middle of winter when you just need not to have that happen. and if you're freezing cold in the middle of nowhere, that's not fun at all. Luckily for the people I'm working for now, they've been away, which is handy, and they're going to come back to me fixing their boat for them. So there are alternative fuels now. I don't know if this is causing problems with white diesel. So in case you're not aware, red diesel and white diesel are basically the same thing, but red is a dye, and dye is for taxation purposes, and that's all it was. Obviously, there is a difference here because I don't think there's any of this sticky fuel going on in the automotive industry, but I don't work in that industry, I don't actually know. I believe farmers have had this problem as well. It's causing some of their plants. So in case you don't know, plant is a word used not just for things that grow, but actually machinery. Big equipment is called plant. I don't actually know why, but that's another tangent of conversation as well. And there are filters that are getting clogged up with waxy deposits and other such things. And of course, farmers rely on their machinery to keep us fed and to keep themselves alive. So this is not just the boating world that's having this problem. And the reason I'm making a video for this for my channel is because I like helping people, and not always is it fun content, but I need to get this out and help spread the word. Right, alternatives to fuel. There is a product called HVO. It's been a bit of a topic of debate and taboo in some ways. HVO is, I'm going to put it in now so I can actually read for you some actual information. Hydrolyzed vegetable oil. So, back to Crown Oil, because they seem to be a big distributor for this sort of stuff. Now, nothing I say about Crown Oil is meant to be negative at all. It's literally taking information from their website, which you can look at freely. It says Crown Oil. Generally speaking, they're very helpful people, I've found. So Crown HVO fuel, and that's their own brand. I believe HVO is a standard, and there may be some slight different twists on it with who you buy it from, but typically speaking, everyone claims it's a direct replacement for fuel, for diesel basically. So hydro-treated, in fact, vegetable oil fuel, reduced up to 90% of net CO2 emissions, and this is Crown's website. Global warming is everyone's business, and it goes on about that. HO stands for hydro-treated vegetable oil and is also known as a renewable diesel. It's fossil-free paraffinic diesel that can be used as a direct replacement for mineral diesel with up to 90% lower CO2 emissions. Derived from certified waste materials, HVO therefore supports the circular economy. Simply switch your fossil fuel to Crown HVO and you will reduce your net CO2 greenhouse gases emissions right away. Now, that sounds great, but this is a sales pitch. Everything always is. There's been a number of different people who have been trying to push this towards the boat market, and I'm inclined to sort of delicately support that to a degree. But I'm always very hesitant of things that are new, and so it's the British way. So, looking at this here, so HVO meets EN 15940 standards and Fuel Quality Directive 2009/30/EC Annex 2. And they claim it's a direct alternative to mineral diesel without modifications to infrastructure or high initial investments. So you don't need to change anything about your equipment. Now, this is where I'm very cautious. Earlier forms of biofuel made from recycled oils like vegetable oils had FAME in it, and FAME was known for causing damage to some injection systems, like a DPA pump. So if you've got a BMC engine or a Perkins engine, and it's an old one with a cav pump on it, it's like a cav module unit. In the end of there and the head have got rubber seals, and FAME can attack those seals and cause them to leak and fail. Now, an engine such as say like this Coyote or Canal Line, Kubota, some Lister engines, they all have metal lifting elements. There's no rubber seals in them. They're all metal components. So there's nothing for the FAME to attack. So HVO seems to be fine in a lot of modern engines, as far as I know. I have not been able to find any data on HVO being used on small equipment. I believe that Beta Marine, who use Kubota engine cores, have approved HVO. Speak to them directly, please. But there was a bit of controversy recently, but I believe they have approved it for their engines, and I believe they offer their warranty. But again, I am not Beta Marine. Speak to Beta Marine. Canal Line, I think, have approved HVO in their engines, but again, speak to them. If you've got a BMC or a Perkins or a Lister, you're out of luck. Those companies don't really exist anymore, and you're going to be having to make that an informed decision on that yourself. However, considering we're getting a sticky diesel problem, I can't see what else to suggest here. It's not clear where this stuff's coming from, what chemical compositions are causing this sticky, goopy, horrible mess. So you need to make an informed choice here. It looks like I'm leaning towards saying stay away from diesel because it's not diesel anymore, and you're risking a serious problem with contamination. If I know more and find out more, I will update this with another video. I intend to write something up for the Timea page, which is on Facebook, and that's an engineering page if you're not familiar with it. That's TIMEA, just to try and spread awareness. I don't like people to have to foot bills to things that just weren't necessary, but unfortunately we live in a man-made world and we men are very fallible, you know. So my aim is to try and offer solutions and find answers to things, and just to pre-warn you really. I had another customer with injector problems and serviced those recently. Similar issues again, sticky diesel, and it's becoming a bit of a problem. I had another customer had a BMC, that was a bizarre one. Took the injection pump off and found that it was full of yellow fuel, and looked at the tank and it was yellow. So as far as we know, the fuel that she was sold was actually biofuel or an oil. It wasn't diesel, it wasn't red, it was horrible and it stank, which really suggests to me someone had done a dirty and sold them early form of biofuel, because there's the early biofuel and there's HVO, and they're two different products, but built around a similar platform, similar idea, but they're very different in their chemical compositions. If you want to know more, I'll put the links up to what I've just read in the description box below. Please do your own research. I don't claim to be a master or an expert at diesel, because I'm not. That's a whole different, that's a chemistry thing, and I'm not a chemist. It's great fun, but again, I'm not. I just deal with the mechanical problems and things that come up and want to help you guys be informed. Again, thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. No doubt I've made the odd mistake here or there. I apologise. This is just not a scripted video, and they never are. I just like to get this information out there and offer people some ideas. So I think my conclusion ultimately is consider HVO. It is more expensive. If you've got fuel in your tank already, get someone in to check your filters and see what's in the bottom of your filter. If you look in the bottom of your filter housing and you empty that into a container, you'll be able to see if there's a brown horrible liquid in there, or if you've got diesel bug. We could expand on this conversation a lot more, but I'll leave it. So if you found this content really useful, please consider subscribing. The channel's still growing slowly, which is really nice to see people are enjoying the content. I've actually got some more ideas for videos coming up. I've got a Paragon gearbox which needs repairing, so I only got that off the other day, so I may actually film that, because that'll be fun, because I've done a Paragon gearbox before and they're an interesting gearbox to take apart. So again, always looking for finding content and useful information and just ideas and stuff to help you all out. It's part of the way I give back, because I quite like this sort of job. Right, thanks for watching, take care.